The science of the broken heart. We have all been told that time heals all wounds. But when you're in the middle of a separation, that phrase feels like an insult. The truth is, time doesn't heal anything. It is what you do with that time that determines your recovery. Research in neuroscience shows that the end of a long-term relationship triggers the same areas of the brain as physical pain and drug withdrawal. You are quite literally addicted to your partner. When they are gone, your brain goes into a state of emergency, flooding your system with cortisol and demanding a fix of dopamine that only your ex can provide. Today, we aren't just looking at how to get over someone. We're looking at a strategic, psychological framework for reclaiming your identity. We are exploring the no-contact rule, not as a game of manipulation, but as a clinical necessity for your mental health.
The psychology of the withdrawal phase. Why is it so hard to stop checking their Instagram? Why do you find yourself drafting texts at 2 a.m.? It's called the obsessive review period. Your brain is trying to solve a puzzle it can't finish. It replays every fight and every happy memory, looking for a different outcome. During separation, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, is often hijacked by the amygdala, the seat of your emotions. This is why highly intelligent people do irrational things during breakups, like driving by an ex's house or begging for closure. You must understand, closure is not something they give you. Closure is something you trade for your own dignity. If you keep seeking it from the person who hurt you, you are giving them the keys to your emotional jail cell. To break the cycle, we must implement the most powerful psychological tool available, the no-contact rule.
Defining the no-contact rule, the hard boundaries. Let's be precise about what no contact actually means. It is often misunderstood as a silent treatment. It is not. The silent treatment is used to punish. No contact is used to protect. Here are the non-negotiable pillars. Zero outbound communication. No happy birthday texts, no I found your sweater emails, and absolutely no accidental pocket dials. Digital decoupling. You must mute, unfollow, or block. Seeing their face in a story, even if they look unhappy, triggers a dopamine spike followed by a massive crash. You cannot heal in the same environment where you were poisoned. The flying monkeys protocol. In mythology, the villain had flying monkeys to do their bidding. In a breakup, these are mutual friends who report back to you. You must tell your friends, I value our friendship, but for my healing, please do not tell me anything about my ex. And no indirect monitoring. This is the hardest one. No checking their Venmo transactions, their Spotify recently played, or their LinkedIn. This is digital stalking, and it keeps your brain tethered to a ghost.
The limited contact exception, co-parenting and logistics. Now, I hear some of you saying, but we have kids, or we work together. In these cases, we use the gray rock method. The goal of a gray rock is to be as uninteresting as a dull gray rock. You only communicate about logistics, schedules, finances, or children. Keep it brief. Use yes, no, or I will check the calendar. Remove emotion. If they try to bait you into an argument or a sentimental memory, do not respond to the emotional content. Only respond to the factual content. The medium matters. Move all communication to email or a co-parenting app. This creates a buffer of time, allowing your logical brain to catch up before you reply.
The 3 stages of no contact. No contact isn't a one-day event. It's a journey with predictable stages. Stage 1, the panic, days 1 to 15. This is the detox. You will feel physical anxiety, insomnia, an intense urge to reach out. Your brain will lie to you, telling you that one last talk will fix everything. Stay strong. This is just the chemicals talking. Stage 2, the fog, days 16 to 45. The initial shock wears off and a heavy sadness often sets in. This is where the bargaining happens. You might think, maybe we can just be friends. But you cannot be friends with someone you are still in love with. You are still building the muscle of independence. Stage 3, the awakening, days 45 to 90. Something magical happens. You wake up and for the first 5 minutes, you don't think about them. You start to notice the flaws in the relationship that you were blind to before. This is the perspective shift. You aren't just surviving, you are beginning to evolve.
The why. It's about neurological rewiring. Why is the silence so effective? Because it forces your brain to create new neural pathways. When you were with your partner, your identity was enmeshed. You were we. No contact forces the I to return. When you stop receiving external validation from that person, your brain is forced to look elsewhere. This is why people often experience a glow-up during no contact. They start going to the gym, learning languages, or traveling. This isn't just about looking good for Instagram, it's a physiological response to redirected energy. By removing the source of your addiction, you are forcing your internal chemistry to stabilize. You are proving to your nervous system that you can survive without them. Every day you don't call, you're telling your subconscious, I am safe, I am whole, and I am in control.
Common pitfalls and the relapse. Let's be real. Many of you will break no contact. You'll have a weak moment after a glass of wine or a lonely Sunday evening. If you relapse, do not spiral into self-hatred. Shame is the enemy of healing. If you sent the text, acknowledge it. Don't send a second text apologizing for the first one. That just keeps the door open. Simply go back to day 0. The biggest pitfall is the false hope trap. You think, if I go no contact, they will realize they lost me and come running back. While this often happens, human nature hates losing access to something it owned. If that is your only motivation, you aren't healing, you're just performing. True no contact is about moving on, whether they come back or not. Practical exercises for the empty space. When you remove a person from your life, you are left with a massive time vacuum. If you don't fill that space, the ghost of the relationship will. I want you to implement 3 daily practices. The reality journal. Write a list of every time they made you feel small, ignored, or unloved. Keep it on your phone. When you feel the urge to text them, read the list. It counters the euphoric recall that makes us only remember the good times. Physical transmutation. You need to move the cortisol out of your body. Run, lift, dance, it doesn't matter. You need to provide your brain with a different kind of natural dopamine. The New Memory Project. Do one thing every week that you never did with your ex. Go to a new part of town, try a new cuisine, or join a club. You need to prove to your brain that life exists outside the map of your old relationship.
The new protagonist. Separation is the most painful form of growth, but it is also the most potent. You are currently in the chrysalis stage. It's dark, it's cramped, and it feels like everything is falling apart. But this is where the transformation happens. The no contact rule isn't about being mean or cold. It is an act of radical self-love. It is you saying to the world, my peace of mind is not for sale, and my attention is a privilege that must be earned. Be patient with yourself. Some days will be harder than others, but I promise you, one day soon, you will look back on this period and realize it wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of your greatest chapter.
You are the protagonist of your life. It's time you started acting like it.